What up and welcome to Tell Me I'm Wrong. I'm Marsh. We've got Rick. We've got Yellz here with us today. Today we're talking about why being a sports fan is the worst. Tell me I'm wrong. I think I need to preface that before I allow Rick and Yells to jump in. So, over the last 2 weeks now, fans on this podcast have had to endure the Houston Texans completely wetting the bed in New England with perhaps, and we saw a little bit of this out of these two, talking about CJ Stroud. We saw my Jacksonville Jaguars have a very nice season come to a crashing halt at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. And then for me, my biggest fandom is a Warriors fan, and we saw their very slim, although probably non-existent, title chances deteriorate with the tearing of Jimmy Butler's ACL. So, Rick, this is why being a sports fan is the worst, because you endure all of these pains for no reason, and you do nothing except sit there and wait for it to happen. It's the worst.
I agree. Unless you're a Browns fan, then it's just a regular Wednesday because their team sucks all the time. But I'll say this year's Houston Texans team, this is the first time as an adult that the Houston Texans has hurt my feelings. The first time as an adult that my feelings were actually hurt by the Houston Texans, because I'm looking at the Super Bowl championship now game, and I'm looking at the AFC game that was 10-7 with the backup quarterback, and that should have been the Texans playing against the Broncos, and we would have matched them, and we should be playing against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And I can see that as clear as day. So it really grinds my gears this year to see the Houston Texans fall flat on their face, because we all know in football you do not always get a second chance to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm extremely hurt. My feelings are hurt with the Texans this year for sure.
I'll say Texans wise, I'm not talking about the Texans till CJ Stroud's off the team, so I'm not gonna go that route. Had the liberty of taking a little vacation, went on a cruise, then took a little flight, and the number, I'll go a different route. The number of Cowboys fans that I saw cheering on some other team because their Cowboys haven't made the Super Bowl in the same amount of time as Taylor Swift, right? So the amount of them on the cruise, on the flight, in other cities cheering for other teams has me in disagreement. I don't think being a sports fan is the worst. I think it's like the last stand. If you actually truly give a shit about a team and you really stand for a team, there's far less of those people in the world than there are bandwagon fans or people that are just fans because of parents or allegiances to things. Like me personally, I'm hurt when our teams lose. I'm bothered by them, but I do get over it. I ain't gonna lie, I get over it pretty quickly. And sports wise, just in general, those guys make millions. I could give a shit when they lose. I'm bothered for a minute if it costs me a moment, some money, or me just being frustrated. But I could care less, because you know why? Because I've seen them out in the club giving less of a shit than I have right after losing.
So, I made a cryptic acknowledgement that this episode was not going to be just about how fandom is miserable. I do want to talk about the Houston Texans, because I think that we should have talked about them
Marsh.
last week. We're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl that's coming up, and I do want to talk a little bit about the Warriors. Rick was trying to talk to me about what I thought about the Warriors before the show started, and I had to be very short because I don't want to reveal everything that I wanted to talk about on the show. Because if you're listening, these two guys don't know what we're talking about till we get on the show. They just get surprised about whatever I decide that we're talking about. It's a very non-democratic approach that we have over here. But to start on the sports,
it's sort of kind of like how America is right now.
I'm not going there. We're not going down that route. There's a lot of hot button issues there. That I don't think anybody here is educated enough to have that conversation. So maybe that's not true. Anyway, but to the being a sports fan, Rick, do you agree with what Yell says in that you don't get bothered by it? Because I will say, as a Jags fan, I feel for it for like 5 minutes, and I'm then just okay. Well, that was too bad. I'm moving on. I feel like your reaction last week in the episode makes me feel like you do not have that approach.
I don't get bothered by it often. There has been 2 distinct times where I really felt some kind of way. This year's Texans team, because I saw us going to the Super Bowl, and then the year the Rockets had the Warriors beat with James Harden and Chris Paul before Chris Paul got hurt. I saw us going to the NBA Finals championship. So those 2 years, I saw those teams. They clearly had a pathway that was the road was set for them to get to their respective championship games, and both teams wet the bed. So those 2 times are the times where it was personal for me. But outside of those 2 times, I really don't. It's like Yellz said. I'm 5 minutes and I'm over it. But this year, I didn't watch the playoff game yesterday. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch the AFC Championship game. I did not turn it on at all. I wanted no parts of it because all I could see was my Texans supposed to be running these teams over en route to the Super Bowl.
Let me add this. I'll say, I think it has to do with the identity of the team, right? So like a lot of the crazier sports fans, like Steelers fans and Green Bay fans, Ravens fans, I'm talking football. Back when the Clippers had their little run, even though they didn't make it to the championship. Every team, the Warriors fans. When a team has a solid identity that kind of aligns with a city or more importantly, a person, it makes sense because you're like, man, that's me. Like, I lost. Like, when I watch a good defense lose like the Texans, like, that really did bother me because I'm like, I feel everything about what the Texans defense was this season. I could give a shit if you could pass the ball. I could give a shit if you're dropping, deep routes here and there, if you're running up and down the field. But if you're just running dudes over on offense, on the offensive line, smacking them in the mouth, and defense, you're taking their heads off, I very much so align with that. That's what I love to see. So when that happens, like, that's what hurts when you align with it. In some of those cities where they have the same identity year after year, like, I know those Philly dudes. Anybody ever been to Philly? Philly dudes are tough. Philly women are tough. Like, Philly's tough, right? So, like, when Philly women are tough. Yeah, straight up. I'm just saying. Not tougher than Detroit, but women.
Well, talking about teams that don't.
I do hear there's pretty women in Detroit, actually. I need that confirmed. You guys put in the chat. Let me know. Tell me if there's pretty women in Detroit. I hear that there are. I find it a little bit difficult to believe, not impossible. I am in Houston now, so I'm with all the pretty girls.
They look really good.
I know a pretty girl when I see one here in H-Town.
They have some good looking ladies, but they're all covered up in like furs and high tall boots. It's interesting. It's a very distinct look.
Because it's cold. They got to warm up. They got the lake right there. They got to, it's a chilly area.
So pimping is still active.
That's what I said. It's pimping.
Okay, okay. That's what I thought you was getting at.
I thought you were saying it was cold.
Okay. I got you.
I do think it's a little. I don't know. I wish that I could be a bigger fan. I remember as a Red Sox fan growing up, it was when they won in 04 and and before that when they lost in 03, the type of emotion that you attached to that was powerful. Like, you feel that and you hold it. Like, for me, I still can't watch the 2016 NBA Finals. I can't do it. But that was kind of the end of when sports, for me, gave you that emotional high and low. Because, I don't know, I was, 22 at the time when they lost. And then they get the KD and the Warriors kind of just blow everybody out. And it was just kind of like, all right, well, that was like, you're not happy when you win that because you know you're supposed to, but you're disappointed if they're going to lose. But I do wish that I still had the ability to care about sports because I think there is that emotional connection that I think some people will lose. I think I still have it for some sense for the Warriors. The Jags just are so bad all the time that you just kind of become, numb to it all. But it's challenging when you no longer get that youthful passion for the game and the outcome of it. I don't think that's a good thing. I think that there's a certain positivity to being able to be excited by wins and losses by dudes that you will never meet in your entire life, which does seem a little, archaic.
I got a question. I got a question for you on that too. The number one, 2-part question. would it lend itself to what I'm saying? Is it because the Jags really have not had an identity? They had like a 2 or 3 year run. They haven't had a solid identity through a course of time, right? And number two, probably really number one. How as a Warriors fan, I've never had a chance to ask anybody. How did y'all take like them getting KD after that? Like, is that what ruined you being a sports fan? Keep it real, because that was crazy as shit. That was insane.
It was cool for about 48 hours. It's 4th of July, and you're like, holy cow, we got Kevin Durant. And if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, because there might be folks that don't watch this, the Warriors win 73 games, most wins in a regular season in NBA history. They have a 3-1 lead in the finals. They blow it to the Cavaliers and LeBron James. They have enough cap space to sign Kevin Durant, who was top 3 player at the time. And then they subsequently just steamrolled the NBA for the next 2.5 years before he started dealing with injuries and they won a championship. That's the quick. It was cool for 48 hours. She's like, holy shit, this team is unstoppable. We just won 73 games. Nobody's going to be able to beat us. And nobody could. But then, like, once you start realizing that that's what it is, that the championship had been decided, it was just kind of like, okay, well, now they have 2 options. They either don't win the championship, and it's terrible, or they do what everyone expects them to do. And so you stopped rooting for something that you thought couldn't happen, and you started rooting against something that you didn't want to happen.
So Kevin Durant ruined sports for you.
He ruined that. Like the 2022 NBA Finals that the Warriors won was, the best. That was incredible. I watched Game 4 on an airplane to San Francisco, and like you look up, you get out of your seat, and every single chair has the Warriors game on. And as Curry is just going nuts, just the plane is erupting. That was I think he scores like 40-something in that night. He just goes absolutely berserk. They're down 2-1. It's a must-win game. And that plane, the energy on a plane was, red eye from Fort Lauderdale to San Francisco was awesome. I went to Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Awesome. That was great. But then, you missed out on so many years of Curry that he could have been awesome, and we wasted it on he's playing next to Kevin Durant, which, you win 2 championships. That's awesome. But, like, I would rather have seen that group play out.
Listen, I got to push back here. KD didn't ruin the experience. There were 2 people who ruined the experience. First, one person and a team. The team that went 73-9 and lost in the finals ruined the experience. Because you guys supposed to be the greatest ever, and then LeBron James stepped in and said, "Hold my beer. Let me beat y'all behind on the offense and defensive side. The behind the back chase down block, seal the game." You know what I mean? So
if you don't love that, you don't love basketball.
LeGoat killed the experience.
I hate it.
And Steve Kerr killed the experience when he took over for Mark Jackson, because Mark Jackson should have never been ousted as the coach for the Golden State Warriors. That killed the experience.
Yes, he should have. No, because winning the NBA Finals in 2015, the year before that, was awesome. And that team had a cap. And I think that I find it interesting that the sentiment around Steve Kerr as this like undeserving recipient of this great team, I think that does not come within the Bay Area. That comes from people outside of it. And it comes from the people that hate on the Warriors for what Steve Kerr did, where he took them from being mediocre, a good 4-3 seed that was going to maybe make a conference finals, to being an NBA champion. And if Mark Jackson was such a good head coach, why is it that he has not had any other coaching stops since then?
Because he got blackballed.
You know why. Marsh, you know why he's not. You know exactly why.
There's plenty of conspiracies.
We're going to go down that road? Are we going down that road?
Why don't we go down that road? Why don't we go down that road? Let's do it.
You know why he's down that road.
Let's hear it. Why? Tell the people.
Because of his statements and actions off the court. Now, there's a certain caveat. There's a certain level of playing by the rules that the league wants you to abide by. And here's what's crazy about it. They get to decide on when they enforce it and who they enforce it on. It just so happened they ain't like the way Mark Jackson was running things outside the court. And when they decide to teach you a lesson, they just decide to teach you a lesson by, we're going to remove you from the team. And not only that, we're going to keep you from getting a job. Kind of like how it happened with Shedeur Sanders and the Browns in this year's draft. Or this year's, it kind of like he got dropped. He got dropped to the 5th round. Then he get on the Browns, and they refused to play him until they had no absolute choice. And then when they had no choice, they didn't even get to do first rep practice with the first rep team. So they put him out there to stink it up. He's just too good to be that bad. And now the coach is fired because he's incompetent.
If he's too good to be that bad, he wouldn't have been as bad as he was. Shedeur Sanders was terrible. He was not a good quarterback.
He was the best quarterback on their current roster, and it wasn't close.
That part is true. But that's like saying
why it took to week 12 when someone got hurt before he finally got a shot.
Saying that Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback on the Browns roster is like saying I'm the best basketball player at a senior home. Of course I'm going to be the best basketball player in a senior home.
Are you?
They all suck. They're all 80 years old. Even my 5'7" self can cook on them. Just because Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback on the Browns doesn't mean that he's a good quarterback in the NFL.
That means
the options they had.
The Browns, though.
He should have been. I'm not denying that. Dylan Gabriel was not good. Deshaun Watson is coming back from a torn Achilles. You traded away the quarterback that was actually good in Joe Flacco. You should have just kept Joe Flacco, but you sent him to your divisional rival. But the Browns' chances were not Shedeur Sanders. He is not a good quarterback in the grand scheme.
I think they were, but to be fair, I think they were kind of banking on when it come to Deshaun Watson that he would get a little bit more masseuse action. Like they could have really freed him up a lot sooner. They didn't see how many people they could fly in. This is the problem with fandom, though, right? Like you guys, for me, I think I'm pretty objective when it comes to sports and apparently acting. By the way,
I think I'm pretty shirt objective. On there, brother. Jeez, crow. For those watching on YouTube, we almost got a peep show out of you.
We got to do a nipple blur now in the edits.
Yeah, Lee. You toss that thing down, dude.
Nip slip. Hey, so I think I'm pretty objective. But
Janet Jackson up in here.
I think I'm pretty objective though. Like when it comes to fandom, I think people blur the facts, right? When they want to cheer on or disapprove of something. I think that's where fandom gets crazy. Like Marsh, I'm gonna go back to what you're saying about Golden State and even the Mark Jackson. I'm gonna push back on Rick on this one. Mark Jackson, I think he should have never gotten fired. or he should have returned for more seasons. He should absolutely have a job. But to say Steve Kerr doesn't deserve accolades, I gotta disagree with that. I think that's an early on statement that I think is fair. When Steve Kerr first came in, it was like, hey, this guy doesn't deserve it. He's picking up the ship that someone else built. Totally agree with that. But over time, he showed that he is a very good coach. He has a system. He proved it. He proved his worth. To hold on to the Mark Jackson thing, I think that's a little beyond the pale. I get where you're going, and I'm with you because I would much rather see him coaching on the sideline than still saying "hand down, man down." Like I'm tired. Like you've been saying that shit for a while.
Hand down, man down.
Yeah. So,
Mama, there goes that man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push back for a moment about him being an excellent coach. I think he's a good coach. I don't think. The proof is in the pudding, which is why the roster, they have to keep it how it is intact. Why they can't move a piece.
You're talking about Steve Kerr.
Offense that they've been running this whole time. That if they move one piece out of there, the offense goes to shit.
You're talking about Steve Kerr, right?
Steve Kerr wouldn't know what to do because he's been running the same joint for the last 7 seasons.
Yeah,
now,
but that doesn't make
it helps because you have Curry on your team, right? So
that absolutely.
But if you remove any other piece, which is why they can't come off with Draymond Green, because the offense falls apart because it has to run a certain kind of way in order for it. I don't think the metric of a great coach is now how good you play with the talent you have. It's how good you play. We have to play outside of that.
That's your
when you're forced to be something different and you can adapt to that, a la the Bill Belichick's of the world, that makes you a great coach.
Yeah,
Hold
Bill
on.
Belichick did real good when Tom
Or
Brady
if you're
left.
so great that you just can force your style upon another team, there's nothing they can do
No,
about it.
so
That's what makes it break.
so I disagree with that. Those are different metrics. Diversity is one thing, right? And you can be measured on. That's great. Being able to create and run a system like Steve Kerr, it's a derivation of pace and space with the triangle. You're not gonna say that about Phil Jackson. He had a Kobe. He had a Michael Jordan, and he ran a system. And if those players couldn't fit into that system, it ain't work.
But Phil Jackson
Steve Kerr won
every
too.
time.
So did Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr's got 4 rings.
But he's winning with Mark Jackson's lineup.
But he's not
He's
playing
winning
with Mark Jackson's
players,
approach.
though. He's winning with Mark Jackson's players.
Who was the head coach? Because I wasn't born yet. Who was the head coach before?
During the Steve Kerr administration, who had he's drafted that's made a significant
I got your
impact
back, Marsh.
on their roster since he's been there? Nobody.
I see you looking up stats,
Rudy?
Marsh. This is the one time I'm gonna have your back on this Warrior shit because you know, like you go too hard for him to not be from the West Coast. Hold on, let me.
He doesn't develop young talent, but he's still winning off of Mark Jackson's players.
Here's what he did.
I'm not making this up. I'm not making none of this up.
Mark Jackson is not a GM. What Mark Jackson did do is he instituted a defensive philosophy and he put Draymond Green in place and he freed Steph Curry to a point and understood that he plays in a certain spot. Steve Kerr said, "Let me free this offense up totally," and he ran that system. He did not run with Mark Jackson's roster because Mark Jackson didn't create the roster. He created the defensive principles for the team, and he put the quarterback of Draymond Green in place. Other than that, Steve Kerr elevated everything that Mark Jackson did.
During Steve Kerr's administration currently? Who has he drafted on his clock? Although he's not the coach, he does have a say-so on the roster.
But Rick, talking about how a coach develops a guy is completely different than how a coach gets the most out of his talent. So using your logic, so the best coach the Chicago Bulls ever had was Doug Collins, right?
Phil Jackson.
Oh, but no, that doesn't make sense because Doug Collins was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls from 86 to 89 and took them to the conference finals. Using your logic, Phil Jackson just took Doug Collins' players and made them into a championship team.
Hey, and if
that's the same logic.
Cool. And if I keep that, you know what? Cool. I'll roll with your logic. Cool. I'll roll with that logic. Cool. See, Phil Jackson was a recipient of Doug Collins' roster, but then Phil Jackson went to L.A. Phil Jackson went to L.A. and then they won Doug Collins in L.A. That's all Phil Jackson in L.A.
Who was the head coach prior to that?
Just like Rudy Tom. Rudy Tom, for the Rockets fans, everybody knows Rudy Tomjanovich inherited a team by the other coach. I can't remember his name before him. Now he elevated them, but he had nothing to do with those main guys in that roster. Rudy Tom they had nothing to do with those guys. Dream was already on the team. Maxwell was already, those guys were already on the squad. Now, Rudy Tom got him to the championship, which is what Steve Kerr did for the Warriors. But every Rocket fan would tell you, I can't think of that coach's name. It was a black guy. He was a coach. His name was it'll come to me. Every diehard Rocket fan would tell you Tomjanovich won with that guy's team. And I'm gonna look up that guy.
But no, you're just saying that Del Harris then is the better head coach because all Phil Jackson did was come in afterwards and take on what Del Harris. I mean, Del Harris had a sick. Rick. It's
not the same offense.
It's not the same offense.
It's not the same players either.
It's not the same offense. It was the same players. They had LeBron James, or excuse me, not LeBron James. They had Kobe Bryant.
They wish they had LeBron James.
They have him now. They're not doing so hot. What you said though is accurate. It's not the same system. Steve Kerr. Yes, he does not develop coaches or players well. I agree with you on that front. I would say that the counterpoint to that is that none of those players that the Warriors have drafted and not been able to develop have gone on to be anything of value in the NBA for any other team. I mean, they were picking at the end of the first. Who from that group has not gotten development minutes and gone on to be an all-star? No one. So that would be my pushback on that, but I don't disagree with you.
They probably should have been drafted in the first place is what you're saying. They probably shouldn't have been drafted in the first place.
You can put that on Bob Myers. That's not Steve Kerr's job to do. But I think we're diverting a little bit from the point here that I think we were originally going down, or that I thought we were going down, is that this Warriors team, as we sit here today, and this is why it sucks to be.
Why the hell are we talking about
sports
the
fan.
Warriors? How did we end up here talking
Because
about
we're
the
talking
Warriors
about
again,
why it
Marsh?
sucks to be. Because you talked about it. Yeah,
Yes,
you brought
you
it up.
started it.
Just so you know, I was going to start us talking about the Texans and talking about football, but you wanted to talk about basketball,
You sure?
so we went to
You
basketball.
said
I'm not
not
gonna-
talk about the
I'm gonna
Texans.
You
judge.
said in our quote, Yellz, Marsh, just gonna be the one time I'm getting on your side.
That's fine.
And then
So
you
be it.
just went
And
Warrior
you-
crazy.
So be it.
And you should be on my side more often because I'm right, especially when it comes to the Warriors. So I think I'm actually probably the most reasonable Warriors fan that you're going to come across because I think you're going to.
That's saying a lot.
I don't think it actually is because I think Warriors fans are just all over the map. It's either Steve Kerr's an idiot or Steve Kerr's God, and I fall smack dab in the middle of that. I'll agree with the Steph Curry's a God. I mean, there's no infatual evidence there. But to the general conversation of it being difficult to be a sports fan is now the Warriors are cooked. I mean, Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. There's no future for this Warriors team to win a championship. The most logical way for this team to win a championship is with a big trade, and they don't seem to be wanting to move Jimmy Butler, but the best guy that they can trade is Draymond Green. And they said they're not going to trade him, but Rick, I think they have to. I think that if you really want to find some way to make this team better, you can. They've completely ruined Steve. This is where Steve Kerr, I would disagree on positives. He has completely ruined this Jonathan Kuminga experience because that's the guy, 6'9", big forward who can score with the ball in his hands. That's exactly the type of guy that you need next to Steph Curry. Yet for some reason they've been completely unable to allow him to develop in that system. I think there's some part of that he should have been doing a couple more things. Like Steve Kerr talked about him wanting to make him Sean Marion and Jonathan Kuminga just refusing to be that. But this team is dead in the water unless some crazy deal comes through.
Here's what I'll say, and this kind of lends itself to both you and Rick's point. But when it comes to we're talking Warriors, their issue number one is the reason why Kirk can't develop a player. Maybe he can. We'll find out in other circumstances at some point. I assume. I think he's going to be one of those guys that keeps a job forever. I can see it coming.
He's leaving.
Oh, I don't
He's
mean
leaving
Golden
either
State.
after this year.
I don't mean Golden State.
Oh.
I think he maintains a head coaching job somewhere. We find out exactly what he's making.
I don't think he's coaching.
So the
I think he's
scheme
going
that
to
he
politics.
runs, mixed with the roster they have, the problem, what they have not developed is a point guard that can run something other than this system. The system they run is very reliant upon Draymond Green playing point guard at the high post and Steph Curry playing off ball. He can be 6'2", 6'3", whatever he is. He's not a goddamn point guard. If you don't know basketball, then you would call him a point guard. But he's not a point guard. They have never taken the time to say, let me take some stretches to put the ball in somebody else's hand, not to just score. That's why I don't agree with the Kuminga deal, because Kuminga can get the ball. He can inbound that joint and go all over from rim to rim.
Or 30 against the wall.
But you got to market a team also, right? So he can't just do that. You got to get Curry the ball. He is Golden State. I had a conversation with one of the highest ranking people in the organization one time.
Whoa, big flex.
Hey,
big
big
flex.
flex.
Why don't you show up with guns again, dog? Big flex.
Big flex.
Wow.
Hey, Marsh, I'm
Whoa,
up there with
didn't
you
know
now.
we had
I'm
you
battling
had
Marsh
an
on the flex.
insider in here. I didn't know we had this expert. Whoa.
Jesus Christ. So anyhow, you got a market.
You said I talked to a higher up. I don't know what you want us to do.
I did, and Steph Curry will never go. Steph Curry is the Golden State Bay Area owes a lot of what they have, not just to the tech business, but to Steph Curry.
Jackson.
So he's not going anywhere, and
I'm not doing this.
Mark Jackson.
That's been a conversation. But back to my point, there's never been a moment. You don't even see stretches in a game where they say, let me run an offense through the point guard where someone creates for someone else. That's the problem. That's why you don't develop a team. If no one else gets a chance to do anything other than go one-on-one and you only have really one guy because of the cap that's capable of doing that, what can you do?
Whose fault is that, Yellz? Whose fault is that? If you have not developed the players that's on your roster to be able to run something other than the same old, then whose fault is that?
I get where you're going. But you never see
brain surgery, bro. Y'all make this way more difficult than it has to be.
You're not getting any argument out of me there.
The Rockets had players, but they did not know how to win until Ime Udoka stepped in, and you took on the character of the coach, and now they play different. It's the same guy.
And now they lose in the first round of the playoffs.
And then the guys you bring in, they also buy into whatever that they can do. You can't play for Ime unless you do a certain type of things, right? So he
losing in the first round.
But Ime is
losing
bigger
in the playoffs.
He's a more imposing force than any players we have. Maybe you could say Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant's kind of, he kind of goes with the flow. The problem is the real person that needs to be traded. Nobody's gonna say it. Nobody has the balls. The person you trade is Steph Curry because of what you get.
We're back to that.
You trade him. You can look how you want to look. When you talk about money. You talk about what his salary is. You talk about what his impact is towards it. You can shake your head all you want. When you talk about what his impact is to the marketability of a team, when you talk about the sheer position, the fact that he's 6'3", running between the 1 and 2 guard, that's the reason you can't bring in a facilitator. You get rid of him, you rebuild. Nobody in Golden State wants to rebuild. They're like, oh, ship off Draymond Green. Let's see if we can squeeze another few years out of 36-year-old Steph Curry. No, you rebuild right now.
Look, you're not wrong.
You might as well just burn the whole stadium down. It's a wrap.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But what this team looks like without Steph Curry and what that city looks like they built Chase Center and opened it up in 2019, the first year after Kevin Durant leaves for that 2019-2020, the season that gets shortened. Steph Curry breaks his hand, plays 5 games, and that place is just empty. It's a ghost town because nobody wants to go watch. Now, I would say this. I think that season, and this is to the point about, developing other pieces, that season was really impactful for the Warriors because it allowed Jordan Poole to just dick around and do whatever the hell he wanted for 82 games or for 56 games. Now, they only won 15 times, but it was an opportunity to say, exactly. Jordan Poole, let's see what you got. Let's make mistakes. And that has never been an opportunity afforded to Jonathan Kuminga, to Moses Moody. Now, I'm not saying those guys would have turned into all-stars because of that, but, and this is where I would agree with Rick on the Warriors and Steve Kerr's inability to do anything except a system built around Steph Curry, is that even this season, Jimmy Butler was saying before he got hurt, hey, I need to have more opportunity just ISO pick and roll. And Jimmy Butler, he could have said that very negatively, right? This is a guy that forced his way out of Minnesota, that wanted to go back to Philadelphia, and they don't give him the money, so he goes to Miami, and then clowns Philadelphia because of it, because they gave somebody else the max deal, and then forces his way out of Miami. This guy does not have a track record of being the super patient guy. And he's saying on a very patient way, hey, maybe I should have the ball a little bit more. And so I think that has been the challenge for Golden State. And that's why I don't think you trade Steph Curry, because you can't trade him this year because you started out too good, right? They're like 26 and 22. So you're not going to be bad enough to be in contention, like legitimate contention for a number 1 pick, unless you get lottery luck like the Mavs did. Now, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you could say that the NBA would want the Warriors to have a champion, or have, AJ.
Mark this down on your calendar. Is it a conspiracy if it happens?
Yes.
Yes.
I've never been a conspiracy guy, but after the Mavs got the number 1 pick, it's really hard to. I think I said this on a previous show that we did on a different platform with you two. I can't say that it was conspiracy theory, but I'm running out of evidence to say that it was. Right? Yeah. That's it. I can't tell you you're wrong, but I'm running out of facts to say that to you. I can just be like, I think you're wrong. I have nothing to believe on that. But I just don't think you can trade Steph Curry for that reason.
You can't trade Steph.
You have to trade Steph Curry.
If the ship goes down, he goes down with the ship. That's just what it is.
Sometimes you take a step backwards so you can spring forward. There's lots of teams.
I'll put it this. If you're going to trade Steph, then that means might as well trade Draymond. You might as well get rid of Steve Kerr. You might as well just get rid of everybody then, because none of them are the same without Steph anyway. So if you trade Steph, then you might as well just get rid of everybody.
Agreed, but you do it before you lose value. And here's the thing: like when you talk about why you can't trade Steve Kerr, kind of goes back to what the topic was with fandom. And I think, to be totally honest, Rick and I have talked about this offline. We talked about it too offline, Marsh. Like as much as I loved sports growing up and earlier, there was a particular point where I stopped caring, being invested as much. And it was a conversation that what was the prior owner of the Rockets? I forget his name. Anybody?
Les Alexander.
Who?
Les Alexander.
Les. Was it Les? Was that who was before
Alexander.
we have now? Before Fertitta?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Kinda.
Prior ownership, doesn't matter. And then there was another conversation that came out where Jerry Jones alluded to it. And everyone knows this, but when you hear it said, it's disgusting. Like, it's really disgusting. And it's kind of the problem with the Warriors. It's why you're saying what you're saying. It's a problem with a lot of things, is when you lose games, you do not make money. Right? Is that what we all agree to? Just hit me with a yes or no. When you're a perennial loser,
you're not supposed to.
the organization does not make money. Right? When you rebuild, it's an exciting time and you can make money. Les Alexander, Jerry Jones both made the statement what they do not make shake-up moves because it is far safer for their bank account and the business to stay middle of the road. When you win a championship, the pressure and how hard it is to continue to win a championship, this is their statements, man, and not mine. They actually said it. Go look for the interview. It was terrible to hear. You win one championship, it's really hard to win a second one. When you win a second one, everyone's gunning for you, contracts, people asking for X amount of money, everything becomes polarized and magnified, and it's a very different thing, and it forces you into a rebuild. If you do not rebuild successfully, you quickly move into a tier of a business that does not make money. It is much better for them to make the playoffs or be in the run for the playoffs continuously than it is to tank or win a championship. This is what our owner said back. It was like his last year.
That's definitely a Jerry Jones statement, and he can make that statement because the Cowboys can go 0-17, and as you guys know, they're still going to sell out the stadium. They're still going to have the merch and everything because they've branded in such a way. So a guy like Jerry Jones never really cares if you win or not because the fans and the fandom are going to continue to put money in his pockets, and they're going to continue to go to the game to support regardless of how sucky they are. They've been sucky for the last 2 decades.
But Yellz, do you agree or disagree with their approach of saying we should just stay mediocre?
From a business standpoint, I'm all about the business. From a business standpoint, I totally get it. But sports is one of those rare things in life and society. It's competitive. I couldn't do it. I couldn't own a team. That's why I don't own one now. I guess I couldn't own a team.
Yeah, that's why. That's why you don't own a team. It's not the $1 billion price tag that comes along. But Yellz, your logic that makes business sense. Well, that's what the Warriors are doing, is making business sense by keeping Steph Curry.
Exactly.
I mean, they clearly are fine with being, hey, if we make it to the conference semifinals, maybe things break our way and Steph doesn't get hurt and we beat Minnesota and we play the Thunder in the conference finals. Maybe we lose there, but at least we're fighting and we're playing meaningful basketball. That's ultimately all they really want to do. All right, we need to not pay the bills with a non-sponsor, but when we are coming back, I want to talk football and I want to talk, if we're allowed to say we, when it comes to sports. All right, this episode is not brought to you by Trojan. When your soldiers are ready to get information like Beyonce, there's only one trusted brand. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Oh, God. You only use Magnums, right? Wrong. You're putting too much pressure on your Mr. Peter. And let's be frank here. Most of you don't need the extra space, if you know what I'm saying. Wink, says to wink. So stay safe and stay in the game. Get like the Greeks and get that wood horse marching. Charge! Wow. There you go. That's we're not sponsored by Trojan.
Get that wood horse marching. Get that wood and horse marching now.
So that's for a lot of our viewers, huh?
Now, there's people that listen to this podcast that are going to be very disappointed in that ad read. I will tell you that right now. So I apologize to them. So,
they should do they got help with the ad read. You're either gonna be disappointed or you're going to be helped.
They're not going to get helped. I promise you that much. The folks I'm thinking of are not going to be helped by that ad read. So let's go. Let's go this way. Are we allowed to say "we" when you're talking about a sports team?
Yes.
You can say "we." You're on board with that?
Especially if it's a sports team in the city that you live, you paying tax dollars. Hell yeah, I can say "we." If I'm paying for those tickets for the games, they're $200 and better. Hell yeah, I can say "we."
Yeah, and Iris,
$18 beers. Yes, I can say "we."
And Iris can come check for me because I'm not supporting any part of CJ Stroud's contract. Anything that facilitates. Come see me.
But you're on board. So even though you're not the one training, you're not going through OTAs or preseason two-a-days. You're not studying. Well, most fans aren't studying up on film. Some are, and there's some really good guys that talk about that film on IG. But you're on board. I guess Rick's on board. Yellz, are you on board with saying "we"? Are you a fan of the "we"?
I'm fine with it. I don't. It doesn't really matter either way. I don't like it when you say "we" personally when you talk about the Warriors, Marsh. I think that's ridiculous. You're not in the city. I think if you're in the city, you can say "we." Anybody that is not in a city. My son, a game came on. He's like, "I'm going for the Lakers." They're playing the goddamn Rockets. Like, you're going to get out. Like, what are you doing? Like, you cheer for the home team. You cheer for the home team. You can say "we" under that vein, Marsh. I'm with it. You can't say "we." We can say "we."
I don't think that's fair because Vermont does not have a basketball team unless you're unfamiliar with the state.
What's the closest city then? What's the closest
I don't want to be a Celtics fan or a Knicks fan. Those guys suck.
Want to be.
I want to like them.
You hear that? You don't get to pick. That's kind of the problem. You don't get to pick.
Yes, I do.
A fan of the team the city that you're in or closest to.
I don't like that. I don't like that optionality. I think that's unfair. I think that we should have. I'm not going to say what I could say. I should have the opportunity. No, because it's just not going to come off right. So I think because then I'd be stuck now with rooting for the freaking Dolphins. I don't want to like the Dolphins. Like I think that's lame.
You know what that is? Everybody say it with me. Bandwagon fan. You get
racist.
I don't want to like.
Racist.
I don't want to cheer for it. That means you're deciding who you. It could change next year.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wait,
yes,
Marsh, you jump bandwagons? You switch teams?
No.
He's about to.
See, this is the problem. When you are a Warriors fan, this is the constant. This is the challenge that I live on a daily basis as a Warriors fan. People just assume I'm a bandwagon fan because I happened to be at the ripe age that the Warriors were good at in my youth. I started in the We Believe when they upset the Dallas Mavericks, and I was like, "This team's freaking awesome." So let me root for them.
So that's the origin of the problem. This team is awesome, so let me root for them. A real fan, you endure the bullshit, and you end up having to like who you like. That statement. I don't resonate with.
That's a Gen X take. You want to talk about Gen X's cooked? That's a Gen X take right there. Is that you're just like, this is the hand I'm dealt. How about I make my own hand? How about I say, hey, dealer, give me the deck. I want this card and this card. And then you know what? If that hand loses like it's losing right now, as the Golden State Warriors are losing, they did just win on Sunday night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they're not going to win a championship. I'm stuck with that hand. I'm not going to go suddenly like the Oklahoma City Thunder now. I'm not doing that crap.
But you said that you could based on your rules and regulations on how you can play it. You're saying that it's perfectly fine to do so.
I didn't say it's perfectly fine. You can do it. I would think poorly of you if you just keep going from team to team. Like, how about this? Here's a perfect example. I could start rooting hard for the Florida Panthers because they are right down the road in Fort Lauderdale and Sunrise, Florida. But I don't. I will be happy if they win, but I don't care one way or another if they do. But I could jump on that bandwagon. But I would be you're just jumping on the bandwagon.
It's where you are. That would be the appropriate team to cheer for.
No, because now they just won 2 straight Stanley Cups. That would 100% be jumping on the bandwagon.
That's because he doesn't care enough about hockey to do with them. If it,
I actually love
basketball, or had that been football, he'd be all hands on deck.
I love watching hockey. In fact, I would say, you know how some people are, everyone has their delusional take about themselves. My delusional take is that if my dad let me play hockey growing up, I would have made it to the NHL. 100. Like dude, I'm 5'7" and I got big ass legs. I was built for hockey. I wasn't built for any other sport but hockey.
Marsh,
And he
you're
deprived
5'7"
me of it.
and you weigh how much?
180. Dude, I'm quick on them skates, dude. I would be motoring around dudes.
You said had short arms. You said you had short arms when you were talking about.
You know, who cares? You have a fucking stick. Who cares how long my arms are? I got a 6-foot pole I can swing around. What's the matter?
I said the same thing last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, look
Episode
he was
not brought to
playing
you by
hockey
Magnum
too.
or Trojan, right?
Rick was playing hockey too. No, I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced of it that I would play it in the NHL. And look,
there's no one 5'7" in hockey currently, right? There's no one
Sure
that's
there is.
dude, Brad Marchand ain't that tall. Let me see.
There's no
hold
one
on.
that's
Live look up. Hold on.
It can't be.
Marchand. Wait, let me see.
If he's 5'7", you got to be 200 pounds.
He's 5'9", but that's probably the skates, dude. He's 5, but no, that's the official listed height. You know that no professional athlete is honest with their height. So 5'9", not good. It's definitely 5'7". Like that, definitely. But anyway, that's my delusional take. And look, here's the best part about that delusional take: nobody can tell me I'm wrong. Nobody can be like, no, you wouldn't have made it because I never got to play. It's not like the dude that's like, oh, I totally would have went D1, but my coach didn't play me. It's like, no, your coach didn't play you because you sucked. You know, I can be like, we don't know. This is literally a universe that we have no evidence to prove me right or wrong on. I just couldn't stop. That was my problem because my dad didn't let me play.
Marsh lives in a land of theoreticals. He can change teams.
Time,
Who
dude.
can say if I would have made the energy? Who can tell me I'm wrong? Oh my God!
Look, at least I have the sanity to admit that it's a delusional take. At least I can admit to that right here, right now.
So can we talk about like terrible fans on this? Because I think that's a take. Because I wanted to go. This is a great segue when you talk about like how you cheer for teams and what I think is a bandwagon fan. I have a firm belief that all Cowboys fans, right? And I like to use that word all. Do what you need to do with it. I think all Cowboys fans, other than the early ones that kind of watch the early days when John Madden would say Troy Aikman was great, even though Michael Irvin caught the ball with 2 fingers. Like, what a pass by Troy Aikman. Like, did you see the goddamn catch? Stop it, man. But except for those fans, right? These last 30-year fans, to me, most of them are not from Dallas. And you ask them, well, my dad cheered for him, or my family. I don't think they know shit about football. I don't think they're football fans. I think they're just ingratiated into the sport of football through their family, their allegiance, and loyalty to family members. They're not actual football fans. And that's why I think they are the worst fan base in all the sports.
Wow.
Well, you got to understand, sports is a lot like religion in terms of a lot of times what you were born into is what you become just cheering for. Like a lot of people, their religious beliefs is based on what their parents was, and they just born into it. A lot of teams, a lot of guys who cheer for teams now, they're just rolling whatever their parents or whatever their father or uncle, whatever they believed in or cheered for, and they just rolling with that. So I think it's sad. I don't know if I want to go into a situation where I have options on the table and I'm choosing a losing team franchise for the last 30 years, like the Cowboys. I mean, I guess that's a choice that you're going to choose. But if you're going to choose a team, I suggest you choose up high.
Like the Warriors, do what Marsh did, huh?
What is this hypocrisy? What is this hypocrisy? You guys are hypocrites. You guys are sitting here saying, no, you got to accept
I roll my home team. I don't have another team on my home team.
You just said you are choosing to stay rooting for a loser with the Cowboys, but just 2 minutes ago you're saying no, you cannot change.
It's not the home team.
allegiances.
It's not their home team. Like they're just choosing a losing team.
We're talking about the non-home team got people.
You said when you talked about yours, Marsh, you said, hey, they had just won a couple championships. I still can't believe you said that shit. They won. So what better team to cheer for than the Warriors? You didn't say, hey, who really sucks right now and hasn't won for 30 years? Let me cheer for them. You didn't do that.
I was 12 years old. I'm living in Vermont. No basketball comes to Vermont. Okay, I'll take that back. We had an ABA team called the Vermont Frost Heaves. And they were awesome. The Vermont Frost Heaves. They were in the. It wasn't even the ABA. I don't think. Do you guys know? We're education time. Do you know what a frost heave is?
No.
No idea.
Okay, so I hope I get this right. Otherwise,
It
I
sounds
probably
like it's
lose my.
exclusive just to Vermont, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a northern thing. So the road will be flat, right? And then over time, cement or pavement would crack a little bit. And then that moisture gets in there. Well, during the winter, when water freezes, that it expands, right? Because water expands when it freezes, and it creates bumps in the road. Those are frost heaves.
So they were named after a bump in the road.
They were named after
No
frost
wonder they're
heaves.
no
They're
goddamn
everywhere.
good. Who wants to be a? How do you have a bump in the road mascot?
I'm gonna push back on that. Hating there.
How do you have a bump in the road mascot?
No. So the Vermont Frosties were a professional basketball team. They played in the Premier Basketball League. That was the league. Okay. They were actually. And first off, I should shout out Alex Wolf. It was the owner of the team. He founded it, and he actually grew up, or he didn't grow up. He was, how do I put this? He got his hair cut by my mother, and he's an awesome dude. And he wrote for Sports Illustrated.
Is your mom a barber?
Whoa!
Is your mom a barber?
Stop it right there. Stop it right there.
Yeah, my mom has a hair salon. What are we talking about?
Wait. I have a follow-up
get your Trojan mind out of this. All right. I don't want to hear it. What is your concern? Before I give you this,
go ahead, Marsh. Go ahead.
Okay,
Do your
so
thing,
they won.
Please.
They ended the regular season, their first year, 30-6, and then they beat the Texas Tycoons in the ABA championship. So not only was the Vermont Frosties a basketball team, they were a championship-winning basketball team that went down and beat a team out of Texas who was based out of Fort Worth. So I don't want to hear it from all you all.
Well, first of all, Fort Worth is close to Dallas, so I understand why they lost. Case closed. Secondly,
technically in DeSoto, if that helps. I don't know my.
Secondly, I won the championship at my local Y. So what's the point? That's the equivalent. My local Y championship is equivalent to the Frosties championship.
Rick, by the way, earlier today, I beat the shit out of a bump in the road. Tore it up. Rolled right over it.
You not in 2007, you didn't, because the Frosties would have won, dude. They were the best. They also had one season where they played this team and they signed the other team signed a Chinese guy that was 7'9". So the place was packed because at the time he was the tallest. He might still be. I don't know. The tallest basketball player to ever play professionally. This dude could not move. So they just played him. They played 4-on-5 on defense zone, and this motherfucker would just cherry pick on the other end because he couldn't get up and down the court, dude. Like he could not move up and down the court. He was like, you know how you run in your dreams? You know that feeling when you're like, I think I'm going fast, but I can't move? Like you think you're sprinting, but you just feel like you're running in mud? That's how that guy ran in real life, fully awake. He was pretty bad. So I don't even know where we started that segment on. But
talking about bandwagon fans, and somehow you got on to the least popular sports team in America.
No, I wish I had a jersey by them. I got to hit up some people. I need a Frosty.
You got a Frosty jersey?
I need one. I should actually put my jerseys up. I don't have.
This is a team that you said lost to Wow Ming, right?
No, they beat them. They won, dude.
Okay.
They were sick. They ran out of funding. That's all. I think
Gotcha.
They stopped existing. So I guess back to your bandwagon take. Where were you going with that before I completely?
No, I went exactly where I wanted to go.
conversation?
I said that the Cowboys are the worst fans out there because they're made up primarily of bandwagon fans.
Yeah. And shout out to my roommate in college, Zach, who has also been mentioned on this podcast. He was a Cowboy. He is a Cowboys fan. So Zach, no, two not fans for you here. Yellz and Rick, not big fans of you. So he now knows that.
People will say
to be fair, Jerry Jones is not a big fan of the fans either because he definitely doesn't try to win for them.
There you go.
So,
this is true.
I was somewhere and there was a Cowboys fan in there and he was talking all boisterous. Of course, you asked where he's from. He wasn't from Dallas. Of course, made all sense. Right. And the response was, man, look. And then he started getting on the Texans. He started talking about the Texans. Y'all can't talk after what you did, right? Fair enough. The response that I heard, I was crying. He said, man, if we want to see the Cowboys win, we got to see if Grandma taped over the VHS tape or not. If you want to see Cowboys championships, you got to check the VHS tape. and see if it's
So
takeover
I have
or not.
it's a hot take, but what's the difference between your favorite team winning a Super Bowl in real life and you winning a Super Bowl with them in Madden, or winning an NBA Finals in NBA 2K, or winning a national championship in college football? I would make the argument that your involvement, unless you literally work for one of these teams, right? Obviously, it's a different situation. But you as a fan, your involvement is less than if they were to win a championship. Your involvement is less than it would be if you were to play with them in a video game and win a championship there. If, of course, granted, you're not like putting the sliders and everything to make it completely favor you. I would make the argument that you should get as much enjoyment out of winning a championship in a video game as you see a team winning it. And I do not think that's a popular held belief.
I mean, well, when I did play the video game, I didn't play with my own home team because I took the worst.
Hey, fan.
Check this out. I took the worst team on the game and I built them up because I don't want to start with great winners because I like the challenge of actually building a winner. I know it sounds crazy.
You started with the Rockets.
I know it sounds like some Gen X type shit, but I like taking the losing team. So I would get the Bengals or the Browns, whoever the sorriest team
Texans.
was, and I would we not.
I mean,
we've had a year.
You got the number one pick there. Mario Williams really hit on that.
I mean this is a new franchise. That's a new franchise.
So that nothing worse than the worst.
So even then, I didn't pick the Texans. I never played with my home teams when I played the game.
Wow.
Now I will say I do get great gratification when I play in my fantasy football and my fantasy football team wins because I get paid. I get lots of gratification with that. But as far as the video game, I don't even play with my own home team. I usually play with the sorriest team in the league, which typically isn't my home team.
Is the Texans? Yeah, that makes sense. How many? What is the stat they said that they're the only team in the NFL to not make a conference championship game?
Yeah, we're only 25 years old though, as an organization.
Jaguars are like 30, so we've been to 2.
Give us 5 more years.
So you've had a 5-year head start. That's what you're telling me.
Still can't.
Okay.
It's not like we made them in the last 5 years though. They won in '99. We made one like right away. You can't let the newcomers come in and steal the show.
You paid for a team that was good for one season, and you've been trash ever since. It happened.
Hey, at least we had the one good season. Where's yours?
We just had it.
CJ Stroud shit in the bed in New England in a blizzard. That's a good time for you. Yellz, am I wrong to have this take about you should take as much gratification from a video game championship?
I wish I had a more strong opinion on this. I don't think I really give a shit either way because, like I said, I don't really care. Like if we win, then that gives me something, for my home team to win. I can talk a little shit to people from other cities when I'm traveling. That's fun. But it's not that big a deal. It doesn't make an impact to me in that way. And then on a video game, I mean, it's amazing. Like, Rick, are we friends or something? Like, we kind of align on that. I do the same thing. I take a crappy team and I try and take them to the top. And honestly, it takes away from the realism that I like to have whenever I would play. So I didn't want to play with the home team anyway. I would rather take a team I knew not a whole lot about that was pretty crappy and trying to get them to work. So it's about as they say, what and what. It's about even for me.
Okay, I think there's going to be if the same folks that weren't a big fan of your perm last week watch that as a social pullout, I think I'm going to get some touch grass comments. So I think that's well deserved.
Do it.
So,
Do it. Bring the smoke.
Let's go to the.
Let's get to that segment. Let's get to that segment.
What?
Can we get? Do you have more on the sports stuff?
I got one other thing. Where you want to take it?
I'll come back to it.
I got one last thing. Is the Minnesota Vikings decision to let Sam Darnold walk the biggest fumble when they take on J.J. McCarthy, who managed to do absolutely nothing, as the Seahawks are now headed to the Super Bowl?
It's the biggest fumble.
It seems like a big one because Sam Darnold just torched a bunch of teams and has the Seahawks. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
It's a big one. I don't know if it's the biggest fumble. It's a big fumble, but Minnesota was. Listen, he was seeing ghosts in Minnesota.
Now he was seeing ghosts in New York. That was in New York.
And those ghosts didn't finally didn't settle down until you got to Seattle, right? So it's all about the weapons around you, man. Like I'm sure they wish they kept Sam Darnold. JJ McCarthy looks like he might be a bust. He can't even stay healthy. So they took a swing and they missed, and so now they want to swing again. But if the Minnesota Vikings had Sam Darnold, Minnesota's not in the Super Bowl this year. It doesn't make that big of a difference. Their team is not that. Their overall team is not that great.
14 games. They won 14 games.
Minnesota wins 12 games every year and does nothing. That's nothing new. They was winning 12 games back when Randall Cunningham was throwing to Randy Moss, and they were still losing. It meant nothing. It's never meant nothing in Minnesota.
Did Randall Cunningham play for the Vikings?
Yes, he did. Brad Johnson did too.
I thought Cunningham just played for the Eagles. Wow.
He did. Then he went to the Vikings. I know my knowledge of football is pretty extensive.
Wow, you're like a freaking encyclopedia over there. Yellz, how about this one? Yesterday's game, because we're recording this on Monday. Yesterday's game between the Broncos and the Patriots. I am the biggest fan of snow football games. I think it's the greatest thing that we can possibly have with football, especially playoff football. In the snow, in a blizzard, hell yeah, that's backyard football at its finest. And Sunday's awesome second half from a weather perspective was completely ruined by having the two quarterbacks be Drake May, who couldn't hit anything, and fucking Jarrett Stidham, the backup quarterback, who shovel passed a forward pass. He had the ball in one hand, and he said, I'm not going to throw this overhand. I'm going to shovel pass it, because the last time I did it was a fumble. That game and the experience completely wasted on two terrible quarterbacks.
Disagree. Football's football.
Disagree.
Of course I disagree. Football's football, man. Everything that you just said about painting the picture of, like, that's football at its finest. I dare to say, maybe y'all are like super savants of football, and maybe I just don't know. Fine, I'll accept that that's the case. I don't know all 56 or 55 people in every time. I could care less. Show me some dudes outperforming what it is they're supposed to, what their expectation is. Show me some guys hitting as hard as they can and just stepping up to meet the challenge in that type of weather, in a blizzard. Some people that have a take on that the following day are the people that couldn't even have their hands out in weather that cold. These guys are out there breaking their backs to play football in that weather. I don't give a shit if you throw a shuttle pass, if you throw an overhand pass, you decide to run. I don't care if their last name is Stidham, whatever that dumb ass. It's a really dumb last name. I hate that the commentators had to say that many times in that game.
They said they ride with Stiddy.
Stiddy,
even better name.
Insane. Drake May, I didn't even realize that this dude was an MVP nominee. Like, are you what? I guess so.
He didn't look it. He did not. He hasn't looked it even against your precious Texans, even in that win. Yeah, but nope. Second-year quarterback.
Defense was an all-time great defense. That's why it hurt.
Yep.
And it's
all-time great quarterback too.
It's over.
All-time great QB for the Texans. Best quarterback in Texans history?
I don't say that.
Yes?
I don't say that at all.
No.
Bar seems pretty freaking low.
The best quarterback in Texas history, not including the Oilers, because that's not Texas history, would be the run that Deshaun Watson had before the other shenanigans.
That would be true. All right, that's all I had on football. Ryan, you wanted to get to something? What was it? Some haterade? Is that what you wanted to?
The segment, is that not true, Rick?
Oh, that's right, Rick. You got something you hate, because I got something I hate.
Absolutely. Let's get to some stuff that we hate.
Do you know what I hate?
No! Tell us what you hate!
Rick, tell us what you hate.
I hate when we have our show and our segment, we put it out on social media, and people come in with their comments, and they don't have the webos or the balls to even have a picture or you got your private page up. You got enough guile to make a silly ass comment, but you ain't got the balls to unprivate your page, little boy. I don't respect that. I hate that shit. Do better. If you got the balls to make a statement, have the balls to have your sorry ass page open so when I see it, I can light your ass up like the 4th of July.
Yeah, indeed. I'm right there with you. I hate it too, Rick. I'm unbothered, but yeah, people do. That's what they do on social media, right? The same thing we doing. We're making some bold statements, some opinions. That's what we're supposed to do. Hopefully,
my page stay open though. You can find me, homie.
I'm right here. Hey, look at that. Look at that.
Come on.
Give a shit.
Talk about it.
Followed up on a couple of people who had something to say, and they probably had more hair under their arms than they had on the top of their head.
So for those
it's all good,
the uninitiated, this is from a on Ron Yell's take about what's his name? I called him Bohemian Rhapsody, and I know that's wrong. That's his name again.
Hey, before you go there, shout out Guy Torrey. I don't know if you know who that Marsh is. Who that is? Marsh is Joe Torre's brother, big time comedian.
Joe Torre, the baseball manager.
No, not that Joe Torre.
Just multiple Joe Torres, all right?
The black Joe Torre.
You ever heard of Def Jam?
Context clues. I kind of assumed that was the case, but you know what? I figured I'd take a shot anyway.
So just to double back on that. Here's why I say I'm unbiased. I'm gonna say some outrageous shit, but I like to do my due diligence. And can I go back and clarify him because he came in and his brother. Guy Torrey came in and made a comment. So shout out to him for chiming in. And what he said about Bokeem Woodbine, he said that he stayed in character for the movie Life all movie long, even offset. Mentioned that, how hard that had to be able to do around a Bernie Mac, a Martin Lawrence, a Eddie Murphy, and the multiple other great comedians. I have to agree with that. I can't. Hey, give us the information. So we appreciate you chiming in. We wish some of these other suckers would chime in with some actual information. Maybe you weren't on set, but have a fucking point. Be a part of the conversation. So I concede to that. And what I will be doing over the next 2 weeks is watching some Bokeem Woodbine movies post the movie Life just to see where he stands. But what I will say to clarify, because I don't think I got it out, before Life, all the movies that I had seen, Dead Presidents, great movie. Bad acting. Jason's Lyric, great movie, bad acting. Caught Up, not so great movie, even worse acting. We could go down the list. I wasn't pleased with Bokeem Woodbine. What he did in Life, I was under the assumption that his acting was so bad that they asked him not to speak in the movie. Is what I assumed. Right? That's my ignorant entertaining comment. But I will go back. Apparently, he won an Oscar for Fargo. And he's done some other things. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a look because I don't stand above criticism, unlike some of these other suckers out here.
So I don't think I finished it. For the folks that don't know what he's talking about, there was quite a few comments on Instagram that were not big fans of Ron Yell's take, nor were they fans of his what they called perm, his flashy haircut that he's got there. And that's Rick's point there is that people need to not be private. Let's see, the most liked comment, I'm not even going to give him his name, but he is a private account, and that's it. So there you go.
Of course he is.
And he says, never take a grown-ass man with a perm seriously, and this man does not have the audacity or the bravery to be unprivate.
I am certain of one of two things. I'm certain of one of two things. Either he's below 5'7".
Ooh.
We've talked about this before. He's above 6'2", but also he probably has long hair and no facial hair. And I don't fucking trust y'all. Something's up. Something's up. Who are you trying to bring in with no facial hair? What you doing? What are you doing?
He's trying to be Brad Pitt. He's trying to be Brad Pitt, the next Brad Pitt.
There it is. So here's what I hate. How do I phrase this without sounding
Oh my God, just let it loose, Marsh.
I hate school buses. And I specifically hate this situation. So today, in order to get to where I need to get to, there is a left turn, okay? And it's, when there's 2 lanes of traffic and then suddenly the left turn lane appears. And if that left turn lane gets backed up, people will just go in that second lane and then they'll zipper merge in. Now, look, I don't have any problem with a zipper merge if you're like, some of these people are not going to be quick to the trigger. So they're going to be driving slow. If there's a little room for you, you slide on in there, whatever. That's fine. The guy, that's the driver that you cut off's fault. They should have been ready and kept moving. So we are sitting here, long line. And this school bus comes out of nowhere and just like, I'm going to cut in front of all of you, zumps right in front of us. And then 2 minutes later, we're driving down the road. What does it do? Stops. and we're stuck there waiting for these kids to get on. I got places to go. It's early in the morning. I don't want to be stuck behind waiting for these kids getting on this damn school bus. You, school bus, could have waited your ass in line like the rest of us. Just because you big and yellow doesn't mean you get priority. You had to wait in line behind. I don't care. Oh, I got to get the kids to school by 8:30. Wake up earlier. Get to their damn house earlier then. That's not my problem. That's yours. Wait your damn turn. Don't be zipper merging because we had to stop everybody to get your ass in there, only for you to then stop traffic again to pick these nerds up in the morning. Bullshit. Hate it.
They really got to you today, Marsh. I can tell.
Look, I am not saying that we should be running kids over. I'm not saying that you should be driving around a school bus. Obviously, if you get on a school bus, I want a kid to get on the school bus safely. But that doesn't mean when I'm stuck behind that motherfucker and it's waiting for the kid to sit down.
Let it out.
All right? Here's the problem. You got the school bus driver sitting there, and he's like, I got my stop sign out and whatnot. Nobody can go past me. You all have to wait for me. Fine, whatever. School buses don't have seatbelts, right? There's no rules on a school bus. But yet the school bus will not take off until the kid sits down. Like, you want to talk about hypocritical? Just fucking go, dude. Just go. The kid's on the bus. You're as safe as you can get. That is a tank. That is an American tank on our U.S. roads. Nobody's gonna hurt that thing. No pickup truck or car is gonna hurt that thing.
And technically, now we have real tanks on U.S. roads too. So it's kind of like
different conversation. We don't need to go that route. Rick keeps trying to veer us into that conversation. I don't want to have that one.
I'm just stating the obvious. That's all.
Oh man!
Tell me I'm wrong. Yes, you're all wrong on whatever your take would be on that. But no, if you're a school bus kid, the moment that kid is up the stairs, go. Because you know what happens? If you're in New York City or LA or some other city that has a school bus, they ain't waiting for you to sit down. They're like, you on? Good. You pay? We're going. I got places to be. They're not waiting for your ass to find a seat. School buses, you get the kid on, you go. People got places to be.
Well, Marsh wants to abolish all school buses.
I've got a lot of problems apparently with people early in the morning.
I love that response.
It's not a hard no. That's for sure.
He didn't say no at all.
I like to self-reflect. As I'm reflecting on the last couple episodes, I have said that old people should not be allowed to be on the road in the morning, and apparently, I don't want school buses on the road in the morning either. So that is the thing I'm learning about myself right here in live time.
Jeez, Marsh. Like you drive Mario Kart style.
Look, just learn from home. E-learning. That's fine. Also, so I was actually in an area that was very cold. It was actually I was in Minneapolis pre-weekend. I went up there for the Wolves Chicago Bulls game. I'm in pursuit of going to all 32 NBA arenas. 32 nice. Because I count Oracle as one for the Warriors, and then I have to go to Intuit Dome for the Clippers. So I needed to go to the Wolves. I needed to go to Target Center. So I was up there on Friday afternoon, and it was so cold. And now I forgot where I was going with that because I diverted myself. This is great podcasting. What the hell was I talking about? This is not a good sign. Jesus Christ. I don't even know.
Let me ask you then. How many of the 32 venues have you visited so far? What number?
12. The Wolves is 12. No, I've just been able to get to more. Gotcha. For the long time, I haven't been able to. What the hell was I talking about? This is going to bother me that I completely lost my train of thought because I was trying to give context.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to jump in there and tell you what I hate until you can figure it out, sir.
Go for it.
Tell you what I hate. Like I said, took a little vacation. If you're at a hotel or a cruise, anywhere that has multiple dwelling spaces and hallways, and anyone in your room, cabin, penthouse takes a shit, close the door as soon as you can so everyone doesn't have to walk by that. I hate it. Like, people do it. Like, it's far more common than you would think. Like, I guess people really don't smell the scent of their own shit, right? Because they leave the door, but hey, honey, like, it smells awful. I shouldn't have to walk through that. Close the goddamn door. I hate it.
I have a hard rule personally of not taking the number 2 in public places. I do not do that. I'm vehemently against that. If I ever get caught in that situation, just kill me now because I'm vehemently against that. However, if you are going to take a deuce, if you are going to drop the deuce, there are just general rules that you do. You down one and you flush one. That's the rule. Everyone should know that rule by now. That's not a new rule. Down one, flush one. So that way we won't smell your stank ass the entirety time. Hopefully we get a little bit of that backdraft not coming out. If you gotta go, the rule is simple. Down one, flush one. Don't be so rude.
Yeah. It was awful in the hallways, I'll tell you that. I was like, somebody's gonna have to fart to freshen this place up. Like, it smelled awful. Awful.
Wow.
We are 12 years old talking about bodily functions on this podcast.
At least
I can't remember
what we were talking about, Marsh. Apparently, you're 112 because you can't remember. Yep. I lost my
Nope. I was in so much pursuit of giving context to things that I can't remember.
You were in Minneapolis. It was cold as hell.
He got derailed by those yellow buses.
Yeah.
He had to start derailed.
Something. What I'll do is I'll listen back to this podcast and I'll remember what the hell I was going with, because that's all I got.
Question for y'all real quick. I want to know if this question was as enamoring as it is to you as it was to me. Speaking of buses, picking my daughter up from school the other day, and she asks this question. I just looked like, what's wrong with my daughter? And then it was really a funny question after I thought about it. I kind of dissected it. She said, Dad, I really want to see how a bus turns, what it looks like when a bus turns. It's like, what? Like, that kind of doesn't really make sense. She's young. She's 8. She doesn't take the bus. So I was like, what do you mean? She's like, when it turns a corner, like, it's so long. Like, does it turn like a train? Or like, how does it turn? Like, I get how a car turns, but how does it make that corner? And I start trying to visualize what a 6, 7, 8-year-old brain thinks a bus does when it gets to a corner. Like, how long? I thought that was a hysterical question. Like, can y'all visualize how insane that may look to a kid if they've never seen it?
I mean, it makes sense because the corners are, they'll run people over.
Yeah.
It's not a hairpin turn, No.
So I'm on a mission to show her what a bus looks like when it turns so she can get it. I thought it was insane, though.
There you go.
So he's avoiding the buses, and you're going to go find a bus.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
It's the times we live in, man.
Oh, I remember. Thank you. Buses. There we go. We got it. You brought me back. We're full. Don't stop. I gotta say it before I forget it again. Okay, so we were up in Minnesota, and it was the night. So Friday night, Thursday night into Friday was when it was getting really cold, negative 20 degrees. So I like to find Irish pubs wherever I go, and so I found this great Irish pub. I'm sitting there, my Guinness and my Reuben. I'm having a great time, and the schools decided to close because it was so cold. And I was like, that makes sense. It's supposed to be a high of -9 the next day. At 7 a.m. was when it was going to be -20. Like, that's obviously no time to be getting your ass to school. Some of these schools had the audacity to do e-learning instead of just giving the kids the day off. And I think that is just criminal, that you're going to make a kid be like, you don't have to come in, but you do have to learn today. Snow days growing up were the best. I don't know if you guys had them in Houston. It was awesome. You're like, this is a free holiday. And they were making these kids go to school at home. I thought that was just completely – I hate that for the kids, because I know there was some 8-year-old where their mom was like, Johnny, got good news and I got bad news. Good news is you don't got to go to school tomorrow. Bad news is we're bringing school to you and you got to sit in front of a computer all day. That just has to suck.
But the parents don't mind because it gives them busy work to do. It's the kids who suffer from that, right? Because the kids are trying like, yo, I'm trying not to do nothing.
What am I doing? Parents,
yo, get your ass online because you're not going to be bothering me and eating up all my snacks all day.
All right, well, my old age brain apparently was able to figure it out. So before we get ourselves in any more trouble, we'll call it a day. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate our production team for all they're doing. We'll be back on Thursday of next week on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next week.
Coming soon on OnlyFans, too. Y'all be prepared.
Oh.